Let's talk about books, Shody. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the weird things and the good things that we read. Let's talk about books.
Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back to Adjacent Book Club. Today, we have a special guest with us who is going to help us review our newest book that we've been talking about, Out of the Red by Christian Bolden. Who do we have today, Shelly? Who's in the studio with us?
Well, I hope she comes often. It's Luressa Smith.
Oh, hello. We are so glad you're here. Oh my gosh. I have to tell you, I was telling her before we started recording that I was listening to her and her granddaughter sing, and it is the sweetest, most heartfelt. I just love their little voices, and I cried listening to it.
It was there. Adeline could not keep the secret. She was not going to tell her mom that she sang on it until she was going to surprise her with it, but she couldn't keep it. And I knew she could. I wouldn't have been able to either. So,
Yeah.
my mom was not
So cute.
yeah, it was
Uh, I think when Berkeley said that her mom was her best friend.
no.
Oh,
And she
Oh,
really they're very tight. They have a great
oh
relationship.
my gosh. I can't imagine if I got that if one of my kids said that.
I know. You're like,
well,
so,
I'll go on record. None of my kids would say it.
yeah,
One-
maybe later. So,
Hayden would say it about Loressa.
but currently his girlfriend might be his best friend, but I am a close second, I think. So
Yeah,
I
I'll
did,
take it.
did just get off the phone. That's called me on his way home from work almost. Today, so.
Oh my gosh, he's so
Oh
cute.
my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Well, let's get into it. We
Yeah.
read an incredible book from one of our
Yeah.
previous guests, Out of the Red by Dr. Christian Bolden, and we've mentioned it a little bit, the last couple of book clubs because
Yes.
it's a good read. It is, a college book,
It's a textbook.
as a
It's used as
textbook.
a textbook, but it's also um it's so deep. It
It's
goes it goes into some hard things. So just note that you are learning about somebody's life that went through a lot of trauma
yeah.
and abuse of the systems, and so just be forewarned. But in the end, I just say he rises out of it. And because if you've listened to our uh, meeting with him when we interviewed him, you know that everything's going to be okay. So don't worry.
Yeah, he's a survivor,
Yeah.
Yes.
which is incredible, and, we were blown away by him and his wife and his son,
Oh my
and
gosh. We got to interview all of them, Marissa. They're so cute.
I've listened to the one obviously with him, and I just listened to the one with his wife. So
yeah,
Yes. Ray Taylor is, a badass. And
yeah,
so this power couple, I'm just like, oh my gosh, y'all are changing the world.
yeah, it's awesome.
And then their sweet, sweet little son. Oh my goodness, he was so adorable. So adorable. Christian Bolden is a professor of criminology and justice at Loyola University in New Orleans. He did get his degree from Texas State, and then he also went and got, his PhD from the University of Central Florida. I mean, I barely have a degree. I mean, I don't even know.
Like, I don't know why they let me teach.
Yeah. And he's also has done work with the FBI, but he teaches. He's one of the favorite professors over in Loyola for, I don't think I'm even saying that right, but you know what I'm saying, guys. Loyola, I guess. Yeah.
tomato, tomato.
So, Shelly, let's get into it. I don't
Yeah.
even think we can rate the book because it's
I
just,
I gave it a 5. I gave
yeah, I
it
know. We're gonna give it a 5, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, our normal books are not as deep, or the ones I read. I mean, I read about crime, but in a fictional sense.
Yeah. Or if I've read true crime, I don't know the person, or at least, like, I mean, I didn't get to meet him, but I listened to him on your podcast. So there's just a little bit more of a connection there. And so it's a little bit different when you kind of have a connection with the person who
For sure.
happened to. So,
Oh my gosh.
And Luressa, great. Thank you for pointing that out. It did, like, I had to do some walk-offs while reading it. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy, we just had him on the podcast. We just
Yeah.
sat down and chatted with him. This is a real human."
Yeah.
And that was my big takeaway from the whole book, and that, that's definitely how he ends the book, is that these are humans
Yes.
in prison, and, the system isn't always, serving them well.
Right.
And that is, he explains all of it. He explains he was in prison, like it was he was in the perfect storm.
Yes.
Like, it was the worst time to be in a Texas prison. They were trying to, fill seats, and they were just throwing people in there, and where today they've, kind of, they're, depending on which county you're in, or whatever, they aren't as aggressive as they were. He just hit the perfect storm.
Well, his whole life was the perfect storm. Starting from when he was younger, like born, and his parents were a what do you call it? A interracial couple, and it was in a time when that was
not accepted.
Yes, and then they were very poor, and I'm going to say this. I mean, we have to pay our military. They are doing amazing work for us. They are protecting us, and so it was shocking to me about the poverty that he had to endure growing up. I mean, so he has that as the perfect storm. Then he was bused. He talked about this on the podcast, how he was in that time when they were busing. We had a great experience with busing, Shelly and I.
Yeah.
And people that went to Johnston, everybody we interview and talk to, they're just like, it was so great. I loved it. Da, da, da. But he had the complete opposite of that. And so that was a perfect storm. And it just goes to show you how important it is to connect with people, have those relationships. And if he would have had those foundational relationships at a younger age, I think that he wouldn't have gone down some of the paths that he was taken to go down with the gang life, and he wouldn't have gotten himself into all of these terrible situations. But it really was without a really great connector for the schools. And just really, when you're in it, when you're teaching, it's important work, but when somebody really pinpoints how it went so badly for him,
Right.
It really does make you think, oh gosh, these relationships are the most important thing. I like this one kid at our school. I don't know whose mom did this, but I love it. And it's just a monogrammed sweatshirt that says somebody's kid.
No.
On the sweatshirt.
Ah.
I have a kid who makes bad choices. He's my kid, but he makes bad choices.
And somebody's kid. And, we have to just remember that human factor, like Shelly was saying. These are humans. So in the back of his book, we did want to say, I thought this was very sweet. He did talk about my sister-in-law.
Aw.
And he said, I want to give my heartfelt gratitude to those who believed in me and created the paths I needed to succeed. For those who supported me during my darkest hours, there are no words to express that I owe you. Jay Holland Jr., Mary S. Wynn, your guidance and words of encouragement helped shape me who I am today. Earl Mosley, there's always a hole in my heart due to your absence. You are forever missed. I mean, it just goes to show you that just having that connection, you never know how it's going to affect somebody in the end. And then he goes on and talks about some of the stuff at Texas State and Central Florida. But wow, I mean, It's all in there. I mean, he writes so honestly, and his writing is amazing.
His writing is really good, and
All the smart for schools.
yeah, he is working on another book. I can't wait to see it. I know some of our listeners are in education or they run entire county libraries
Yeah.
or they are involved in a library. I think this book needs to be available. Like,
Oh,
you know,
I agree.
yeah, yeah, it needs to be in public libraries. I already put the request in for Austin Public Libraries, but Michelle Cervantes, if you want to get one out in Williamson County, we
Yeah.
think that's a great idea. I would also like to see some like educators do some book studies on that book for entire campuses.
Yes.
I think it's something I'm gonna send to Tim because I know they deal with a lot of gangs out in Cyprus, and, it's just to know the whole story. Maybe there's an intervention to prevent some of this. And when you're making decisions, knowing what jail is really like
Yeah.
for judges and stuff, it's like, it seems so and I can't imagine being a judge, just sitting there and you're just seeing constant, "Oh, you're back in here. Oh, this is your
Right.
4th
So
offense."
yeah, but it's not they, reoffend not because they want to. It's their lifestyle because that's what they've been either that's what they've been taught or that's the only thing they have,
Yeah.
That's what this book kinda showed me. Obviously, I haven't had a lot of interactions with gangs or anything like that, but, it showed me that, people join gangs to find a family, not to find a group of people to go, like, rob banks with or something. You just have this assumption of why
Yeah.
Right.
people, join gangs and things like that, and that's not why they're joining it. They're joining it to try to find a family, and they don't have a traditional family unit to show what a functional family is supposed to be like, so they're just looking to belong. So,
But and it wasn't out of like, his mom and I really want to interview her so bad because she just sounds fierce and amazing. Um His mom tried
Mhm.
so hard, and was
Mhm.
such a fierce advocate for him the whole time, but she had her own trauma. She had a lot of stuff happen to her, and she was in survival mode, and I know, Jody, you're so good with your students to remind everybody, "Hey, this is a human. Hey, they've had some crap. They've had a
Mhm.
crappy hand dealt to them, and
Mhm.
but let's all lean in and love on this person and show them that school is a safe place
mhm,
and give them an opportunity to survive." And that's what this book is. It's like,
mhm,
this is what gangs look like. We've talked to Christian about this is that there isn't a hierarchy and nobody in a gang is listening to, you know, the leader of the gang and doing what they're
Yeah.
saying. There's no hierarchy. They're just surviving,
yeah,
I just always thought I thought gangs were like, Goodfellas or
yeah,
Godfather, and then
yeah.
there was like a boss, and all of them kind of had to do what the boss said, but it's absolute not like that at all. It's just a bunch of people who aren't listening to a lot anybody.
Yeah. Well, I would say it's the same on the drug side. Is like when you see a bunch of homeless people in Austin, nobody's going, "Oh, you're in charge of the homeless people over here. I need to
Right.
listen to them." They're all just shooting up meth and doing whatever and surviving.
Or
And
they have
sometimes,
mental, health
yeah,
issues.
yeah,
So,
and sometimes they tag up with each other and they go break in or they porch pirate or whatever. And it's like but that's that's
right.
all they're being taught. That's all they're being shown.
Or they're just in a desperate situation
Yeah.
at that point, and they just don't really know a way out, and, so I hear you. Well, Shelly and I actually we knew a lot of gang members growing up because when we went to Johnston, there was a lot of different gangs that were there, but we just became buddies with everybody. And I remember one time I slept in my car on Montopolis, and I remember telling somebody that. And they're like, "What?" And it was like all my friends, we all said, all right, it was like Jeanette, and oh gosh, I think Joyce and one other person. Anyway, we all were like, tell your parents that you're sleeping at my house. And then we ended up like driving around, trying to go to different parties. And then we got tired and we just slept in my car on Montopolis Road. And it's like not safe.
It's not today Montopolis. It was
It's not
back
today
then.
Montopolis. It
Yeah.
was like rough and tough Montopolis back in the day. And but we just became buddies with all the different, gang members, and they were great. Like, I mean, we didn't have any problems with them, but I know
Well, they wanted to beat your ass.
that was in middle school, not in high school. That was the girl gangs. That was different. That was only because I was going with a boy that one of them liked. I don't know. And it's not like anything was serious back in middle school or anything like that, but they didn't want me dating that person. And so all they had to do was say, hey, can you dump him? I'm like, okay. I wasn't going to marry him.
Did y'all have gangs in Urban?
If we did, I didn't know about it. I'm sure. I mean, there's a lot now. I mean, Irving has it's gotten rougher in the last several years. So I'm sure there's a lot more now. But when I was in high school, if there was, I didn't have any clue. So I was sheltered, I guess, from all that. But I don't think there was.
Did you notice that when your kids were in school, like any gang situations at Bowie or anything? I did see some at Austin High, but I didn't. And I don't even know if they were gang. Well, I think they were gang members. They because I did the late check-in. If you came in late to school, I volunteered there, and so they all came in. And I don't know their involvement in gangs. I'm assuming, but they all came in high as kites. They were all high. Yeah. So it was like they all came from the forest. And I was like, why aren't we closing down this forest, guys? We all know what they're doing. And they were always late. And we just met them with so much kindness. And the people that showed up late to school that drove us nuts were the girls that walked in with their Starbucks, and they were like, "The line was long."
Yeah.
Different kind of.
Yeah, we're like, "Your mom's gonna be pissed that you were late."
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing any of it, but like I said, like I don't know, maybe I was just oblivious. There might have been something there. I'd have to ask, the kids and stuff like that. But I'd heard about quite a bit. Obviously, I have a son that was in prison for 6 years, and he talked about how they are in prison, and there's definitely gangs there, and so I heard a lot of stories. So,
well, the craziest thing in his book is that he looks Hispanic, and so everybody would approach him, but he's half black, half white.
Right.
And so he's like, I'm not Hispanic, I'm black. And that was met differently. And so that was so interesting. And he said repeatedly, and I mean, I don't know if you want to speak to this, but your son's white. He's showing up in the prison, and if he connects with the gangs in prison, they're the most violent. The white Aryan organizations are the most violent and have done the most homicides in prison. And it's not, and so because he's white, he's walking in and they're saying, you're with us.
Right. And from what I understand, from him and even some in this book, I mean, when you're in prison, you kind of have to join something. And otherwise you're a target. And so you have to join the gang to keep yourself safe. So
I mean, I watched Shawshank Redemption like 75,000 times. So I kind of felt like, you get institutionalized as well, when if you go in and out all the time. And then it's hard to come out. And then, that's my only real experience with it. But
that's good. I'm glad that's your only experience with it.
Well,
I wished I had read this book before my son was in, because I did not realize that there was a support group for parents of
I
incarcerated.
know. I was going to ask if you knew about the support group.
I had no clue. It would have been really good to know that. I mean, when he was in the Travis County, which the holdings when they're awaiting sentencing and things like that, he was in there for 2 years, and I went there. They did is it NAMI, National Association for Mental? Yeah, I went there for classes, and they did some classes there, which was really good for people with incarcerated loved ones. And so I went there for classes, but I didn't know that there was a full on thing for after that. So it would have been really nice.
gosh.
But and somebody serves their time, and Christian does such a great job of explaining this. And this is somebody trying. He's trying like hell to figure it out. And every step of the way, he's just kicking the teeth. He's just like, nope,
I know.
nope.
And that's why if I won the lottery tomorrow, I think that's what I would like to sink my money in, is trying to help people who come out of incarceration. People who are in there for a long time, especially. They come out, they have nowhere to go. I mean, my son had a family that was there to help him and things like that, and he still couldn't get on the right path. And so imagine people who don't have a family to help them and things like that. I mean, they can't get a place to live. They don't have a lot of people, sometimes they don't have an ID except for the prison ID.
Yeah.
And, that's tough when you're trying to go in for a job and things like that. So it's hard because it's not about reform. It's just about punishment, and that's not what it should be about. It should be reforming people, and then they wouldn't have such recidivism. People wouldn't, because nothing's going to stop them from just going right back to the lifestyle they lead, because,
they're in survival mode. And the people that are waiting for them, I mean, he writes all the people that wrote him while he was in prison. And of course, it was his mom, like the most letters. And then, but it was other gang members. And it was like, he had a community to go to when he got out. But is that the community? He had already made the decision not to. But if that, what happens then? What, if that's the only place they can go, then they just go back to it, and they start the cycle again. Even, and I know with your son that you've offered and tried and everything to help him, and he's just not ready. He's just not ready. Yeah.
No, I think he likes this lifestyle, but that's the one other thing that I learned from this book is when he was saying getting out of the gangs. I just assumed, and from every TV show you've ever watched, every movie, I mean, to get out of a gang, they have to you basically are going to get killed if you try to leave the gang. But that's not the case at all. Some people just kind of fade out and just leave. It's not that it's not the end of their life if they try to leave the gang. So that was a nice positive thing to see. So.
I think it is. Most of the gangs, I do think you grow out of them, if you will. It's like you get, it's just a natural transition out.
Yeah.
And it was remarkable to me is how many gang members switched once they had a baby. And we've seen that in our own lives is once you have a child, your life changes and it's time to grow up and it's time to mature. Not that everybody does that, but that's the hope and goal. But what incredible book, what an incredible journey. And we're not done with it. We're in the conversation to talk with DJ, who's mentioned in the book a lot. And he's a big rapper, and so I'm excited to get him on. So interesting. Just
yeah.
Highly recommend it.
So Christian writes this rap, and I'm gonna try to do my best.
Do it.
So while he was going through changes, and he started leaning in on God and going to every Sunday, going to different Christian classes. And so he made a rap in 1996 called Join Up with the Lord's Gang. Okay, here we go.
Do you want me to do a beatbox? Like,
Yeah. All right. Join up with the Lord's gang. Join up with the Lord's gang. Somebody's saying, join up with the Lord's gang. Join up with the Lord's gang if you want to change. Join up with the Lord's gang. That's hard to say, by the way. Join up with the Lord's gang. Everybody's saying, join up with the Lord's gang. Join up with the Lord's gang. Let me tell you about my mission, everybody. Listen, Lord Jesus Christ told me I should go fishing and catch him a sinner, turn him into a beginner, a baby in Christ who'll grow up to be a winner. He told me to look for somebody walking around tough, because in his heart, he's really got a lot of love. He told me to find him hanging around with the cliques. He'll be down with the mafias, Bloods, and Crips. And when you see him, his heart will be full of pain. Tell him that the Lord says, son, you need a change. And if he asks, what clique am I down with? I'll be bold, and I'll tell him like this. I'm down with the blood that Jesus gave for my life. I'm down with the C that represents Jesus Christ. I'm down with the D for disciples of the Lord. When it comes to a battle, I use a two-edged sword. In other words, I'm down with the Lord's gang, and showing love to my brothers is how we bang. So if you are tired of sin and pain, I'll tell you what, join up, somebody's saying. So you want to be a gangster? Well, be a gangster for the Lord. Believe in him and your life will not be void. You want to know, so I'll tell you how to be. No need to worry. Jesus Christ is our OG, the only homie that will always be around. When in need, he will never let you down. Plant the seed of love within your soul. Feed it truth and watch it until it grows. I won't lie, you're going to go through a lot of things, but let me tell you how the Lord's crew gangbangs. Others carry weapons. We carry Bibles. They go to meetings. We go to revivals. They're about lust and we're about love. And we're protected by the Father above. You see, your enemies will be at your peace with you if you please the Lord in what you do. He sent me to give you an invitation, true salvation or eternal damnation. The book of life is awaiting for your name. Why wait? Join up with the Lord's gang. Join up with the best. You don't believe, then put the Lord to the test, and you will see that he gets respect. Christianity is the name of his set. The only choice that you'll never regret. Get right with Christ. It's time to quit half-stepping. Only neighborhood that I love is heaven. Your righteous prayers will avail you much. The Lord's gang gonna kick up dust. Put trust in the Lord. Gird up your sword, because it's time to do battle with the devil's hordes. You ask me if I'm down with LOC. Yeah, love of Christ is what it means to me. Can't be no colors in my life. Only color on my mind is a robe of white. Christ gave me the cue. Now it's time to set trip. We gangbang when we sing in a fellowship. You must choose what you're going to do. Christ Almighty's looking for some new recruits. So join up and be upon one accord. Now you've found salvation because you're down with the Lord.
Oh, so good.
oh my gosh. It gave me goosebumps when I read it.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's so good. Oh man, he's so talented. And that's just one of them. He did quite a few through they're not in the book, but man, this needs to be a movie. Oh, it needs to be a movie so bad.
I know. This is what we all, and I do think
Bolden.
It has so many hard topics, but I do think educators should read it because I think they'll see like, okay, this isn't, these building connections is where it's at.
He said one of his turning points in the while he was in prison is he was taking a class on when you leave prison, what to do. And he said, most people are not they're gonna be right back here. They're coming back.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be exceptional to not come back.
Right.
And he was like, I'm going to be exceptional. I'm going to do it. I don't want to come back. I'm going to figure that out. And I thought of your little class, Jody, is like, man, you're up against so much. You're going to have to be exceptional.
Yeah. We always tell like the the staff and, we're kind of hard on the kids, but it's because we say they have to practice. They have to have more repetitions of perfection for it to become a rule for them. And so you have to hold it to a higher standard. Yeah, you might see other kids doing the same thing that they're doing, or sometimes even worse. But our kids have to practice at a higher level, because then it becomes easier for them to fall within the range of typical. When they get that every day, it has to be like exceptional. You have to try harder than everybody else.
And you're coming from below average lifestyle, or you have so much trauma that you're not going in the same way your classmates are going in. So
Right.
you have to overcompensate.
Yeah, overcompensate. That's right. That's right.
So you have to be exceptional. You have to do more than your peers are doing.
Right. It's kind of like a person with dyslexia. Like, they have to practice that reading. It doesn't come easily to them. But then, but usually, it's just like with Christian, that these kids are very bright. That I always say, that's not the problem. That's not the problem.
Yeah.
There's other things at play. A lot of them, I was like, I think they should be in the gifted programs, because I think they could find another route of something that interests them. But a lot of times they wouldn't want to take those tests, and so they just kind of like, I don't care, I'm not going to do it.
That's why, like Christian, it's such an accomplishment because of where he came from and how he, the deck was stacked against him, and just he did, because he was exceptional, and just it makes that somebody who life was perfect and there stuff was handed to him in a silver spoon. If they did the same things he did, everybody like, that was expected. This was not expected for him to lead his life like this, and now starting on a second book and just being where he's at is amazing.
Yeah. Well, and that's the same with anybody that's struggling. And if you're struggling with mental health, or you're struggling with addiction, or you're having to become exceptional. And that's not an easy path. It's hard work. And so whenever anybody accomplishes it, and they're like, hey, I'm 8 years sober or whatever, I'm like,
Ugh.
Yeah.
Bravo you.
Because it's hard work on that person. No one else can do it.
No.
Right.
Because I've tried to do it,
Yeah.
You can't. So it's on them.
Wouldn't it be great if we could do it for them? That would be
Yeah.
so awesome.
That'd be great. Yeah. Everybody be healed.
Yeah.
That would be if moms could do it. We would
definitely would.
We would, guys. We would. Lean in. We're here to help. Let us lean in on it. We're here for it. So bravo, Christian Bolden. If you are a screenwriter or a movie producer or in that realm, please grab this book and read it. I would love to see it on big screen.
Yes.
I think it's an incredible story. Even if it's a documentary, I think it would be phenomenal, and I think people need to read it and they need to hear it. And 5 stars. Bravo. We already put it in Goodreads. I love it so much.
Great book.
Thank you for sharing your story too, about what you and your son have been through. And it's just so brave to be so vulnerable and to allow that all of us to learn and connect with you. And I'm glad you had a connection.
Because I used to not talk about it. I'm obviously my closest friends all knew and things like that. But people who I was just acquaintance with didn't know. And then I remember years ago when I was working at Jody, and I kind of put something on my Facebook that just said, this is what I'm dealing with. I have a son. He's in prison. He's been there for several years. And a girl who worked in the department next to me came over to my desk and said, I saw your post. I have a son in prison too. And I'd worked with her for years. And then it turned out that our sons were in the same prison. But And so it was just, you wouldn't think that you have that kind of connection with somebody. I thought I was completely alone, that nobody else was having, but it's not the case. So it's just open up when you're struggling with something, and you know, you never know who else is dealing with the same thing and doesn't want to talk about it because they don't think anybody else is going through it. So
Yeah. It is, lean in, sharing is caring. You know, I've learned so much from sharing different aspects of our lives. How many people private message me and share their experiences, you know, it's like,
Yes.
oh, good. I'm not alone, and definitely, especially families that, well, everybody, but families that have a loved one in prison and stuff. The whole family needs love and support,
Yes.
you know, and so it's not just and there's a tendency for everybody to kind of back away.
Mhm. Mhm. Like
I want
it's
you to
contagious.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, again, it's somebody's kid
It's a
and
human, it's a
they're
human.
human, and I think, you know, having a child with struggles, it's not a club that anybody wants to be in, but if you
Mhm.
have that support with somebody else, that it's like I always say, you never know what somebody's going through. You don't know what they're coming to work with every day. You don't know what their struggles are.
Right.
And when your kid is struggling, then that's your soul, it's part of you. So it's hard to watch and hard to, you know,
Yeah.
but just be patient with everyone and
Yeah.
show love and care for we're all human and we all have our own things that we're going through. But
Oh. Are y'all reading anything else?
I'm not right now. I'm reading insurance documents. So
Loresa's still dealing with the fire at her
oh
house.
gosh, I know.
Oh,
we came back out today, so we've been like going through piles of paperwork and trying to get receipts and everything. So that's
Yeah.
stuff. So we'll get there.
hey, what's your next trip, Lou?
We're going to Vegas again in March during March Madness.
Oh, fun.
So we're going there. Yeah. The
Nice.
we're traveling a lot. So between now and then. So yeah, that's it. Oh, and I'm going to, I guess, Oklahoma in February because I'm going to a concert at the WinStar Casino. So
Oh, fun.
Who are you going to see?
the Bellamy Brothers, Gene
Okay.
Watson, and Mo Bandy. Very
Nice.
old school country.
All right. Well, this was fun. Thanks for popping on, Marissa.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. And we'll just say Texas, Texas. Yeehaw.